day, ladies and gentlecolts, on the month of Hearts and Hooves Day. Love is in the air, as well as most likely snowy cold weather, so very fitting for me. Ha! Ha ha ha! Oh, Pony Sonic, there's nothing wrong with the single life. Anyway, enough about that boring stuff. We have shipping fuel to discuss. Meaning we could at least appreciate all the good relationships that went well in G4. In 9 years, there have been couple after couple, weddings after weddings, babies, separation, even ships among the fandom. I don't think my mind would have wrapped around a divorce story in a children's show about rainbow-colored ponies, but that's a topic for a different day. So let's show thanks to the couples and some honorable mentions, and this time it's an actual top 10 list based on my rankings. Oh, hush you. I want to give enough good vibes that led up to the ultimate couple. In my opinion, of course. But be sure to let me know in the comments which couples you liked and maybe identify with. So let's get to counting and see who makes the list of love.
Because love makes the world go round.
We're coming from the bottom of the list, and I really hope for not much stance against this one. Number 10, Cadence in Shining Armor. Yeah, I can't think of the number of videos I've seen about this couple. I should like them more, right? We've seen their marriage, their newlywed stages, having your sister-in-law save your own kingdom multiple times, and we even get to see their adorable spawn from Tartarus. I think the issue with these two is that they really don't have much more going for them other than Disney princess syndrome. Both are safe but boring, and the character development for both of them is kind of lacking. They can make a cute couple, but that's really all there is. A cute couple. But we do get a lot of characterization in the MLP comics for Shining Armor, but Cadence is kind of still left as the nice and beautiful trophy wife and popular girl from high school. While Shining Armor was a tabletop nerd that fell for her, and it just so happened she liked him back. Yeah, I bet nobody would have known Shining Armor was not actually the jock type in his younger years. Kinda wish we would have had the VAs for Shining and Cadence for a lot of these scenes, especially when we do catch Shining Armor being less serious and more childlike. Could have asked for more, but at least we had the comics. Number 9, Maud and Mudbriar. Just the idea that someone like Maud was able to find someone is actually even more loathsome for me. But nonetheless, this couple is amazing. I love how even the first episode we introduce Maud's boyfriend is not flat out in love, just in like.
That's so exciting! My sister in love!
Technically, we're in like.
Just met at a rock and stick exhibit and now they're dating. I kind of like their dynamic as well. Maud is usually straightforward with her humor, while Mudbriar goes out of his way to correct what's said with technically.
Technically, it's not your turn yet.
Mudbriar, are you back there?
Technically, not anymore.
I should have known it couldn't last. Party perfection is more of a Pinkie thing.
I wasn't going to say anything, but these flowers are just glued on, so technically, it wasn't perfect already. But that's probably not important.
He even tones it down every time we see them together, and even when they go into rock and stick talk, it gets a laugh and an awe out of me easily. It gets a little weird in the episode Student Council, with Mudbriar getting petrified by a cockatrice and bringing out some weird ideas for Maud.
I didn't think I could love him anymore.
Oh, I have to get word back to our parents that Silverstream could be surrounded by those terrifying birds!
And as handsome as Mudbriar is now, we should probably catch one of them to turn him back to normal. I have mixed feelings about it.
Technically, I will always be a stick pony, but the experience has given me an even deeper appreciation for the density and permanence of rock.
Swoon.
Well, nothing says new couple like knowing your partner's interest. Next on the list. Number 8, Mr. and Mrs. Cake. They had to go on the list just for already being married, but also having kids at their age. Compared to Cadence and Shining Armor, I can't think of one without the other. It took until the perfect pair in season 7 to even get some backstory on Mrs. Cake having the name Chiffon Swirl before marrying. The downside is that we do get more backstory and dialogue with Mrs. Cake than Mr. Cake, with the perfect pair and the Big Mac question. With both episodes about love, you can tell she's kind of a heavy romantic, so I wonder if that has anything to do with how Mr. Cake proposed. Kind of wish we would have known both of them more, but the fact that they do work together as one unit and along with running the shop, and we're still able to have kids at their age, makes them kind of a role model married couple. Already in it for the long haul and still going strong as a couple. And also this joke will never stop being funny.
Now, how in thunderation is one of them twins a Pegasus and the other one a unicorn?
Easy. My great-great-great-great-grandfather was a unicorn, and Cupcake's great-aunt's second cousin twice removed was a Pegasus. That makes sense, right?
Number 7, Twilight Velvet and Nightlight. Yeah, I probably shouldn't always include parents into these, but this couple who actually made our main character needs more attention. I'm usually quick to write off parents of main characters since most of the time there's not much going on with them other than genuinely nice, genuinely pleasant, or genuinely needs to be arrested. These two, on the other hand, make me curious about how they got together and what their single and dating life was. During Once Upon a Zeppelin, the Sparkle family are on a vacation on a Zeppelin ran by Macho Man Randy Savage.
Call Iron Will, Iron Will!
Just from this episode alone, we get Nightlight, the proper and organized father who loves bingo and schedules, and Twilight Velvet, sweet mother with a danger streak for bungee jumping and barrel riding. Their kids mirror their personalities so well, with Twilight being tidy and organized and Shining Armor being in the military. If anybody needs a story, it's seeing how these two are while dating or living together.
Honey, have you seen my tie organizer booklet?
It's next to my battle axes, sweetheart. Just the idea that the daredevil of the family is the mother makes me also concerned with how badly she probably wanted to go base jumping, but was probably pregnant at the time. I'm also pretty sure she was the best person who was okay with their daughter adopting a fire-breathing dragon at the ripe old age of I just got my cutie mark. I like that we see a similar dynamic with Celestia and Luna, but compared to them, this couple seems to work well separately and together. I also can't deny moments like this are great for character development for Cadence and Shining Armor as well, with Cadence being the understanding and caring mother while Shining Armor gets airsick. But Twilight's parents are sweet, doting, and even willing to get along with the whims of a crazy minotaur just to have a vacation together as a family. Truly an underrated classic. Number 6, Auntie Holiday and Auntie Lofty. We've been shoehorned with a lot of random parents with little to no fanfare. I mean, we acknowledge them and move on to the rest of the story, but if there is one family everyone seemed to forget about the most, it's Scootaloo. For the longest time, Scoots has been kind of alone. She's just there to be a third member of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, or as a little sister fill-in for Rainbow Dash. But we've questioned whether or not she lives alone or who she lives with, or whether or not she's even had parents. I mean, it would be either a serious crafting theory or she's a homeless chicken. And boy, do I wish this episode would have came sooner rather than later. In Season 9's The Last Crusade, we not only meet Scootaloo's parents, Snapshutter and Main Goodall, but the guardians who look after her while her parents were gone on adventures, Auntie Holiday and Aunt Lofty. Yeah, remember how I said some parents should just be in jail? Hello, Child Protective Services? How do I make a claim for gross negligence? Yes, I'll hold. Not only are they a sweet couple and Holiday being the sister of Snapshutter, so, very cute accents.
Don't tease my brother. We already have a solution worked out.
But they even moved to Ponyville to fully watch over Scootaloo so she won't have to move away. It's amazing how much they have to summarize that Scoots isn't just left alone all the time. She's also been watched by the Cakes, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash, the lazy and irresponsible one. Well, who's to say how many times they've probably broken something while playing in the house? Along with how sweet they are, they both have such unique designs, with Holiday being more rounder and soft-spoken, while Lofty is slimmer and more gruff-sounding and believes Cookie should always be on the nutrition list. Not to mention can knit one hell of a quilt. Even in the comics where Scoot's parents come back in issue number 93, Snap and Mane are still oblivious to Scootaloo's personality and needs Lofty and Holiday to be kind and understanding and wanting them to be a close family as possible. These two are truly a couple that work so well and love their family, even when their family is awful. Number 5, Big Mac and Sugar Belle. Oh, for Luna's sake, all the shipping and shipping and shipping with Big Mac. Seriously? Kinda glad he settled down and has an actual canon ship. Funny how it turned out to be one of the randoms from season 5's premiere. I just love the sitcom type courting with these two, and hard to say anything, especially with Big Mac having some competition against Justin Bieber.
Hey, girl. I was writing poetry by the pond when I saw these flowers. I thought I'd show them how pretty you are.
You know it's Justin Bieber. Don't lie to yourself. Just how this episode happened was pretty normal too. It's normal to be into more than one person, but it's better when you know that person well enough that doing something special for them makes a big difference. Not to mention literally going through all the motions of a relationship. Getting together in season 7, a fake breakup / misunderstanding in season 8, and finally popping the question in season 9. I like how we get more background on one of the newer ponies that were introduced with Sugar Belle and why Big Mac likes her. We don't get a lot with couples in that show. They're either together or suspected to be. It's not even something hammered in since they made sure to show the two of them together, be it sporting events or the holidays.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Guys, he's a happily taken stallion, and they could be related. And I really like these two as a couple. I can tell she does a lot of the talking, and having Big Mac listen to her seems to make a good balance. One of the best random couples, hands down, and one of the weirdest proposals I've ever seen. Number 4, Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich. Yeah, at the very end of G4 with the last problem, who would have suspected that Pinkie Pie would have been the family type? We've seen how she is with babysitting for the first time, and now she's a parent? With Cheese Sandwich, no less? And to me, it's not completely out of left field as people would think. During Pinkie Pride, Cheese Sandwich talked about his past and how he was invisible to everyone. The one who made him the way he is now and even helped him in getting his cutie mark was Pinkie Pie, or at least a party that she threw in Ponyville. I couldn't imagine a possible crush landing from childhood to adulthood that affected a character so much. Well, maybe one other, but we'll get to that in a minute. Not to mention, with the last laugh, Pinkie Pie was able to help him understand where his smile and laugh went, and was doing business with the factory. So, childhood role model, doing a goof off with said role model, and then becoming close friends enough to still send letters to each other and ask for advice. Yeah, I can see how a relationship growing through that would help. Especially if it feels like Rainbow Dash's birth anniversary was just an excuse for Cheese to show Pinkie what he's accomplished. And they even have Cheese Sandwich as a stay-at-home dad, along with them running Sugar Cube Corner and the Laugh Factory. Makes for a pretty good life. The Cake Twins, Pound and Pumpkin, looking after their kid basically makes them cousins to this point, since Pinkie Pie was still living with them, so it makes for one big happy family. Including the giant toothless alligator. Number 3, Cranky and Matilda. Man, was there so much fandom around these two. Not only do we get an amazing song that's still sung at convention panels, but probably one of the most romantic stories for a show for a friend indeed. Cranky went to one gala, met Matilda, and when he was going to meet her the next day, she was already gone. Literally spent years trying to find her, only to retire from his search in Ponyville and meet once again. Yeah, there was a lot of other crazy stuff. Cake batter was spilled. Toupees were destroyed. You know, regular Pinkie Pie shenanigans. But out came a great romantic story that even Matilda told Pinkie about, hence how they even got together again. And all that leading to the craziest speed wedding ever, including fan favorites, shipping, and surprise guests. Slice of Life was an amazing episode and celebrated what with all the fans really love about the show.
It's not just the main characters in our stories that make life so rich. It's every pony. Those who play big parts and those who play small.
I even love the dynamic of Cranky still being kind of a hard ass. Hey, I can make these jokes. He's a donkey. And Matilda kind of being a sweet and understanding lady to him. I like the romantic story that came from someone who I wouldn't think would have that kind of personality. Cranky is rough and distant, but still quite sweet and caring and sensitive. And even gets Pinkie to calm down her antics with him every once in a while. They truly are a lovely match made in heaven. Number 2, Bright Mac and Pear Butter. Okay, I know, just hear me out. The thing that stopped this wholesome couple from being number 1 was its closure. I do not deny being a sucker for what happens after, happily ever after. We've at least seen a scene of them working together after marrying, but that's about it. I wanted to know more. And that's probably because I loved how they met and fell in love in the first place. Even younger than when Cheese met Pinkie Pie, they met as just babies. There was some love at first sight thing going on, but then they got to know each other. And yeah, I know it's a direct mirror to Romeo and Juliet, but at least they weren't just 2 teenagers that got together. They met early and had a connection, and all the way until the adulthood of their lives. The Perfect Pair is set in stone as one of the best episodes of the show. Finally finding out about Applejack's parents, all the people involved with them, including Mrs. Cake, the mayor, and new characters like Burnt Oak. And how their own kids make up a lot of their traits, like Bright Mac being honest and Pear Butter being helpful with Mrs. Cake's cutie mark. I like getting to know their personalities and what they had to do to be together, and no matter what, that song still gets to me. It's just too much of a tearjerker.
I cannot be pulled apart from the hole you have in my heart, and even if...
Okay, I need some cheering up. How about some honorable mentions? Spike and Rarity. Look, we can want this for Spike for years, but can I just remind everyone that at the time of Spike meeting Rarity, he was a child while Rarity was an adult? This would have been the weirdest type of grooming to happen. I appreciate that it's just something to happen in the last episode since both have some big responsibilities to do, with Rarity running shops across Equestria and Spike being assistant and ambassador to Twilight. I'm glad it just ended on a friendship. Starlight and Trixie. Okay, as it wasn't canonically said, these two just bicker like an old married couple, and it's one of the only funny things that I like about Trixie.
But we could just buy a cake from her, right?
We could, but then we'd miss out on baking together. Plus, the time I spent flattering and convincing and begging her to share the recipe would be for nothing. And we promised to make a cake, not buy a cake, and the great and powerful Trixie keeps her promises!
Okay.
I love how attached she would get to Starlight and wants to be around her all the time. Even to having Starlight neglect her student counselor duties for a party for them and their other friends. I like that their relationship is rocky, with plenty of issues new couples would have. Bonding when the other is so busy, having more in common with your partner's friends, and arguing over who ate the last bit of food. They may be the most normal couple of mares, but good foundation for building a stronger friendship. Applejack and Rainbow Dash.
Don't sing.
Now wait a minute. I'll explain. At the end of the series with The Last Problem, we saw Applejack and Rainbow Dash walking in together talking about chores, meaning they most likely live together. But that can just be platonic. There wasn't any sign of budding relationships between the characters. It's just been mostly a friendly rivalry where they get along doing crazy things like iron pony competitions and being covered in bees. Granted, I'm pretty sure they don't do that anymore in their older age, but there didn't seem to be much signs of anything more from that. The Golden Girls are a good example of this that proves that older people can live with each other without it being anything more intimate. Just think of their positions in life. Apple Bloom is older and doing things for Twilight School. Big Mac is just as old, but probably not mobile anymore, and since Sugar Belle married into the family, she was probably busy raising their kid, leaving a lot of work on the farm to Applejack. Judging by Rainbow Dash's clothing, she's probably retired from the Wonderbolts, similar to Wind Rider, or at least teaches new flyers the ropes at the Wonderbolt Academy. She'd probably have more free time to help around the farm with Applejack since there's less hooves on deck. And with the element of loyalty here, of course she wouldn't leave her hanging. So yeah, great idea for wholesome fanfics and shippers to squeal over, but might not be a thing. Now, Applejack and Rarity from Equestria Girls, well, Discord and Fluttershy. Okay, same situation as Applejack and Rainbow. We left the ship, nothing was confirmed, and the writers left it up to the fans. And now we draw to number 1, which I have swapped with Bright Mac and Pear Butter in my head, and if you were to ask me on a different day each time, it would probably change. But what do I consider the stronger love than the Romeo and Juliet couple? Number 1, Lyra and Bon Bon. Yes, a stronger love than the love between two ponies is the love between a show and its fandom. I can tell they were not supposed to be a thing. They were probably not even supposed to have names unless they were directly from previous generations, especially with how many times Bon Bon's voice has changed over the years.
Is she still here? We heard Fluttershy was here.
Sorry, you just missed her.
I didn't put those in my bag.
Likely story. There is nothing like a best friend, is there?
But then we saw them, joked about how Lyra sat in chairs, and fell for their shipping fuel immediately. I love that we have somewhat diverse background characters, even if they're sometimes just color swaps of the same model. But with these two, a whole new story emerged in the background. Even seeing them in random situations was adorable. The dream sequence from Do Ponies Dream of Magic Sheep, No Second Prances, Granny's Gone Wild, not to mention Slice of Life, where everything was confirmed for best friends.
Needed this place ready by today? I was a little nervous. With you by my side, I knew we'd get it done in time. There is nothing like a best friend, is there? Anything's possible when you know some pony as well as we know each other.
They even have a chapter book starring them, and let's not forget their human forms from Rainbow Rocks.
We've got the music makes you move, it got the song that makes you lose it.
Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing. Spotting these two in a crowd was always fun. It just shows what a random occurrence can lead to, and in a way, isn't love just another random occurrence? The show and its creators noticed the fans, noticed the fan art, and our conversations on background ponies, and made us silently root for the two all the way to seeing them in the background proposing to each other in the Big Mac question. Of course, it was among a bunch of live Apple gremlins, but they seem to be used to the madness of Ponyville by now. There's way too much to appreciate with Lyra and Bon Bon, the random sightings equivalent to a Where's Waldo book, the weird situations they find themselves in, even just the randomness of Bon Bon being a double agent and using her canon name Sweetie Drops in Slice of Life was hilarious. So the main reason I went back and forth with them and Applejack's parents was the fact that we got to see their relationship grow in the background. We had to hear stories and memories about Bright Mac and Pear Butter and see everything in flashbacks with a great musical montage. But for Lyra and Bon Bon, it started all the way in season 1 Suited for Success, and just grew more and more over the span of 9 years. And the creators took note of it. Just knowing that, especially with the love letter to the fans in the form of Slice of Life, kind of gives you a nice warm feeling in your heart. So, love it or not, that's my top 10 couples. But let me know which ones are your favorite, and I hope to learn something new about any other couples that might have happened. Oh, and what was that? Why are you like this? Yeah, love you too, Pony Sonic.